Right, YouTube, so the inspiration for this comes from a forum asking about 8 Jedi and 8 Sith for Star Wars Episode 10. Right, YouTube, so the inspiration for this comes from a forum asking about 8 Jedi and 8 Sith for Star Wars Episode 10. Right, YouTube, so the inspiration for this comes from a forum asking about 8 Jedi and 8 Sith for Star Wars Episode 10. So I will display the image of the forum, but first I want to show off these little drawings I made of these characters. So the first one, I know it's uncolored, but I'm still really satisfied with it. And the second one, I drew the remaining people. I really like how both these drawings came out. I find it very cool to see actors and actresses as creative Star Wars roles, especially because a lot of these people have sort of different roles from what would be classified as like a sci-fi Star Wars type role. So it's going to be fun casting each character or each person as each character. However, this will not just be a fan cast, but I'll also be assigning or not assigning, but giving out like sort of plot details on the Star Wars Episode X/10 movie pitch. And I absolutely love the idea of Episode 10 starting in a Revenge of the Sith style, where sort of is the end of an era and the beginning of something new that's terrifying, which is the downfall of this new Jedi Order, which what makes this downfall for them so traumatic is that they had done everything to prevent it and tried learning from the Yoda era downfall of the Jedi, and still inevitably they feel they are just bound to fail. So the very first actor on this list, I would go with his character being sort of an old, well not sort of, but directly an older version of Grogu, sort of Grogu in his Yoda style. And we will see many flashbacks, well maybe not a ton, but a decent amount of flashbacks of Grogu when he was trained by Luke Skywalker and the Mandalorian himself, which, speaking of which, super excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu. So while the initial inspiration for this vlog was 8 Jedi and 8 Sith, I do have other characters in mind, or style of characters than just the Jedi and Sith. But with the Star Wars Starfighter trilogy being on the horizon, I feel like, the whole pilot character arc is kind of not really the best for this, because I want to focus more on like Force-sensitive users. Not that pilots can't be Force-sensitive users and Force-sensitive users can't be pilots, but point is I want to focus this more on sort of the Jedi, Sith, Grey Jedi, Dark Side, sort of all that kind of fun stuff as the main characters and the main point of this trilogy, or episode rather. So I want the second guy down to be a Dark Side version of Grogu, sort of a distant relative of Yaddle. Who is the same sort of species as Yoda and Grogu. However, this character is not necessarily evil because he is known to help many of the protagonists and heroes and do the right thing, and many times he's sort of an anti-villain, so to speak, not quite an anti-hero, but rather a villain with a good side rather than sort of a hero with a little bit of an edge. This makes him the yin to the yang to the Grey Jedi apprentice, who is portrayed by the third actress in the first row. My apologies, the first actress in the third row. And this character is a true Jedi, has very many similarities with Ahsoka Tano, and funny enough, she's a relative of Rey and Palpatine, but never knew because she was planned to be sort of an evil empress who was cloned by Palpatine with his sort of dark side cloning techniques, which will be explored a lot more in this episode. However, she absolutely refused to be the Dark Empress to Emperor Palpatine. And actor number 4 on the top is an Inquisitor who has the goal of being the Grand Inquisitor because he's planning to betray and kill the current Grand Inquisitor, who is not on the 8 Jedi, 8 Sith character cast, so we'll see him later. And actor 4 on the second row is the son of Supreme Leader Snoke, and he is absolutely ruthless. He is a Dark Lord of the Sith, which is very fitting for his work. And the first 2 actresses on the bottom row are cyborg bounty hunters who had their home planet destroyed by a great Sith weapon. While it was technically and directly the Sith's action to wipe out that planet, these Two feel that the Jedi enabled them and refuse to be Jedi allies. However, their ultimate goal is to find the other survivors of the destroyed planet, so ultimately because of that they remain neutral to the Jedi and Sith conflict, which means they can be bought by either side because, like I said, their main goal is finding the others like them. And alright YouTube, so to conclude, I really enjoyed making this video and this movie pitch. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know if you want another part, and after making this vlog, I will say I did script a lot of it, and I may have to at least semi-script some of my other vlogs. So until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned more soon. Goodbye.
20% skill, 15% concentrated power.